You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
I think that, now that they announced that the G1 is coming to LA, they should have held off with Cody Rhodes actually being in the ring until they came to America. Does that make sense?
There's also no rhyme or reason for Cody to be in Bullet Club. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, they could have kept, because New Japan has a working deal with CMLL and with ROH. And at both of those places, especially ROH, Cody Rhodes got a huge pop from the crowd and stuff. They could have kept him there and slowly introduced him to the Japanese fans. Like, don't assume that just because we all know who his dad is, that we're going to like him as well. Like I said, it wasn't a bad match. I think that it was more of Cody Rhodes is still getting used to not working the WWE style of match. I've seen him on two different shows live, and he's still really working the WWE style of wrestling. So he really hasn't found his niche on the indies yet as far as what style he really wants to do. And once he does, his matches will be so much better than what they are now.
I thought he did okay in his Evolve appearances. I thought he was doing okay with them.
Going with New Japan, that's probably why they put him in the ring with Juice, because he knows that WWE style.
Probably, but they didn't have a WWE style match, really. I guess it was a WWE meets Japan style, where Juice knew how Cody liked to work, and so he tried to do his best to blend what he learned in Japan with what Cody wanted to do. And I feel like, that blend of styles just didn't match. It just didn't go over very well with the Japanese crowd. They're expecting a New Japan style show, and that's not what that match gave them. But, once again, it was perfect. The match was perfectly placed where it was at. It kind of gave the fans the time to go get some more refreshments, go use the bathroom, etc. So, like, that was the popcorn match. That was the intermission. For you, Stevie J, that match was the intermission for a non-intermission having show.
Yeah, I actually would say the two matches together here kind of were that point, because I don't think Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly really got a great reaction from the New Japan crowd either, although I enjoyed it.
It was the wrong show for that match.
Mm-hmm. Although I think it was very telling that Cole became the first 3-time Ring of Honor World Champion, because as we said last week, if O'Reilly didn't renew his contract, he was going to lose, and that's exactly what happened.
I hated that too. If I could be the person to go through that, to actually respond to this match.
Sure.
I hated the fact that everybody was like, oh, Kyle O'Reilly going to come down the dirt sheets. Kyle O'Reilly's not re-signing with ROH. Well, then it's him versus, Adam Cole at WrestleKingdom. Adam Cole's probably going to win. I would have loved it a whole lot much more if they would have pulled the Vince McMahon and let him go over at WrestleKingdom, and then he could have lost it somewhere else. Or he could just throw the title on the ground, whatever. They could have found a more creative way to take the title off of Kyle O'Reilly. As far as this match goes, yeah, the fans, they worked their ass off. They really did. They busted their ass and stuff. To me, and now, tell me if I'm wrong, but this seems like a watered-down version of the match they just had at Best in the World.
It was, and like I said, it was the wrong venue to have the match.
It always is the ROH title at WrestleKingdom. It got a very similar non-reaction that Elgin and Jay Lethal got at WrestleKingdom 10.
Because that was the first time Lethal had ever been in New Japan.
Although I have to say, I did enjoy the visual of Todd Sinclair fitting his body into a New Japan referee shirt.
I mean, the match was good. I feel bad for Kyle. I feel bad for what happened afterwards, because a certain person whose name I'm not going to mention erroneously reported a story about Kyle O'Reilly and being presented with a Ring of Honor contract that he turned down right before WrestleKingdom that was not true, that everybody ran with. And so I kind of feel bad about the whole situation.
Okay, well, if I know which certain person you're referring to, I think we may have picked up their erroneous report and ran it as well.
Yeah, that's why I didn't run it, because I knew immediately that it was wrong.
Well, I didn't immediately know that it was wrong, so you're you're catching me flat-footed on the air, because I didn't know it was wrong.
No, I mean, I knew because 3 people called him out immediately.
And nobody sent me that feedback as well, so I didn't know that was wrong.
Well, you know, we pointed out he did not turn down any contract. He just hasn't re-signed because of various reasons. He's not leaving as far as anybody knows. He hasn't flat out turned down a Ring of Honor contract. He's exploring his options. But for them to put out that story of he turned down a Ring of Honor contract right before WrestleKingdom, no, that's not true.
Well, let me look at the way the report I ran actually worded it, because we may be getting into some semantics here. Okay, the report I had from Pro Wrestling Sheet was that Kyle O'Reilly turned it down because he wanted to weigh his options.
And actually what he's doing is he's got some personal issues right now, personal things he's dealing with, and he's exploring his options. And he was not presented with a contract right before WrestleKingdom.
All right. Well, you heard it here right on the air. Pro Wrestling Sheet got it wrong, and we got it wrong because we sourced them. So my apologies to our readers.
You know, and PW Torch has had it, you know, for, I think it was PW Torch. If it's not PW Torch, I'm very sorry. But yeah, they've had it for a week that he had not resigned because of certain reasons.
Okay, so there's deeper things going on behind the scenes in his life that are leading to him not signing with anybody right now because he has to deal with whatever he's going through.
Yeah, and he's weighing his options. So, you know, to report that and then have people call you out on it and say, no, that's not true. It bugged me.
Well, and it bugs me too when I use somebody as a source and that source is wrong. It pisses me off as well.
Well, it was one of those things yesterday where it's like, we ran the story the day before about all of the Ring of Honor contract statuses, and that came out and it's like, no, because he was immediately called out on it and did not do anything.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I hate the fact that information is even available to the public?
What, that contracts end or that they're renewed?
This the whole, you know, the guys having contracts and stuff, like, or this guy didn't sign his contract, this guy didn't renew it, this guy did renew it. Can I just say that I really hate that? Because it takes away, you know, any kind of, it takes away from the story of professional wrestling. If you know that, like, for instance, when Brock Lesnar and Goldberg had their match at WrestleMania, and the entire fucking world knew that both of them were leaving, and they completely shitted on that match. That could have been a decent match. It was not going to be, you know, a 3-star match. It wasn't going to be a 3-star match even. But it could have been a really good match. And the fact that the fans completely shitted on that first WrestleMania match, that first match together, really took those guys out. When as a wrestler, as a performer in that ring, when the crowd is not into your match, you're not getting any feedback or you're getting the wrong feedback, and no matter what you do, the crowd is just not going to like it. It makes it very hard for you to do your job. In this situation, when the crowd, you know, when the fans or certain fans, you know, they found out or whatever because of social media stuff that, oh man, this guy hasn't re-signed his contract, he's probably going to lose. It takes away from the story. It makes it hard for us as performers to try to do something creative for the fans. It takes away from the enjoyment and the experience of the fans where they can just sit back and enjoy the match. I just really hate that. I'm sorry. I just had to put that out there.
No, Huck, I think you've got a reasonable point, but the problem is that we're living in an era where you can't keep that information secret anymore. There's no way to put the mushroom cloud back in the shiny shell. It's exploded. The internet has made that information available everywhere, and we can't go back to the way it was.
I'll say this about that. I'm not a big fan of it either, and I feel that there is a very, very big difference between dirt sheets and wrestling news sites. Dirt sheets are these people that run around and quote unquote, oh, I have got breaking news and exclusive news and this stuff about, it's the stuff that you never have a source for, number one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're called out on, you never admit you're wrong and you never change your tone or your story. And it's stuff that nobody can go back and prove because hell, we don't know where you got it from to begin with.
Right. And I think I can say, That's for both Top Rope Press and Angry Marks. We both look for a source for everything, and if it's wrong, we let people know it was wrong.
And then there are news sites that report news. There might be on occasion we will report a rumor that's floating around, but we make sure to put down, hey, it's a rumor.
Right.
You know, it can't be substantiated. Nobody has said yes, no, or, you know, fuck you sideways. It's a rumor.
Right. And I try really hard to avoid posting anything as a rumor, but like you said, when we do, it's always prefaced with, this is only speculation, but it is being discussed widely, and there's smoke, and there may be a fire where there's smoke, but we don't know.
Yeah, and there are certain sites that I will not use as a source.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
if a story, if they do a story, I'm going to get it from somebody else and verify it before I run it.
Big D had a saying about it when he was on this show with me. He would call those sites news with a Z. Like the ones that try to run with any rumor they find without any proof of anything. He called those sites news with a Z.
Well, I mean, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on what you two do whatsoever. I'm saying as far as, I feel there's some things that should not be out there for the public to know about. And then there's some things, there's some news that, I think the fans have a right to know. And there's some things such as who's not coming back, who is coming back, it takes away from the actual story.
It does, and it takes away from the surprise. And it, things like A.j Styles. We all knew he was leaving. We knew he was leaving New Japan. We knew when it happened. We didn't know he was going to show up at the Rumble. And when he did, it was, okay, that was a surprise.
Well,
because although we knew what was happening, we didn't know it was happening right then.
I think that was about a 50 to 60% surprise, because I fully expected that if they wanted to take advantage of the timing of everybody talking about him leaving, they would bring him in as a surprise entrant. So I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, but Go ahead, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying, you were still surprised because you didn't expect them, hey, we're bringing him out at number 3.
No, it was definitely way sooner in the match than I thought it would be. Now go ahead,
yeah.
Buck.
No, I was saying, before I bring it back to this match that we're talking about, think about, back in the 90s and stuff, when Lex Luger was on Raw, because it was pre-taped, and then he showed up at Monday Nitro on the same night. Imagine if the internet was out then. That, what the hell, you know what I'm saying? That would have screwed the pooch. But getting back to this match, I feel like because I already had a sense that, okay, because I've read, on social media all the time, well, Kyle O'Reilly didn't really sign with ROH. They're not going to let him keep the title. You know what I'm saying? So I already knew, as a wrestler, as one of the boys, I was like, well, he's probably not going over in this match. Adam Cole's going to end up being the 3-time champion by default. And then I felt like, they really screwed over the entire story, because it's like, oh, well, you made Adam Cole, a transitional champ, basically. It really took away from the match for me. Even though the match wasn't as good as their match at Best in the World, didn't have all the suspense, all the drama, it really still took away from me, because I already had in my mind that he wasn't going to win.
See, for me, the politics don't even matter about the contract or who has to retain or who has to lose because of that. I think it was just going back to what was said at the very beginning of the discussion of it. It was just the wrong match at the wrong place at the wrong time. These guys weren't as over with this crowd as you would want them to be, and their match wasn't as good as they are capable of having, which we already know from Best in the World, and I think it just fell flat.
I mean, Red Dragon is over in New Japan. The Dream
Adam Cole
Team,
baby chant is over, but that's about it.
But
Right.
putting those two in a singles match together at WrestleKingdom was not over.
Exactly. It was just the wrong match in the wrong place.
Yep. It was a good match,
Mm-hmm.
but just not the right place to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of good matches, let's get to the next one.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
indeed.
I'm sure Abby loved this as her 2 concubines ended up picking up the
Hey.
Can I just
I
say,
have been trying to decide all day if I need to go to Japan and help Ichi with that broken nose.
I just want to say for the record here that from this point on, business picked up. Every match progressively was
Got
trying
better.
to, steal the show from each other.
And this was better than it had any right to be with Grand Bash heels in there and the Gorillas of Destiny. I thought it was going to be a clusterfuck, but it wasn't the clusterfuck that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and even though I know you guys have shit on the Guerrillas of Destiny many times on this show, I thought they were just fine here.
Yeah, since they had that match back, I think it was the finals of the World Tag League or maybe it was the semifinals. And damn, they just got over with the crowd, and with the crowd being invested in that match, it was like you just sort of looked at Tama and Tango with new eyes.
And I think they've started working up to that level too. They're getting a better reception, so they're working harder now.
Exactly.
Okay, so 2 highlights of this match was it Yano coming to the ring with everything that he had stolen. He walked in looking like a yard sale vendor. It was so great, man. Like, he was supposed to be at the Compton swap meet or something. Like, it was just fantastic. Him walking in with his hands full of everything was great. And then, for me, my favorite part of this match was the English commentary. Kevin Kelly, Steve Corino. I don't know if y'all like Kevin Kelly and or Steve Corino. I work for Steve Corino. I consider him a mentor. And so I know how he feels about public profanity. And that was a complete shoot during the commentary with Steve Corino laughing and giggling. He thinks that public profanity is the funniest thing ever. And the fact that the Guerrillas of Destiny were dropping so many F-bombs in this match, and they were loud. Did New Japan have like a mic on their camera or something? Or did they have like a mic on their upper? It was crystal clear, everything that they said. They're like, holy shit.
Like at every show.
It's like, holy shit.
Juice Robinson drops a lot of F-bombs too during his matches. He's one of the louder guys in the company.
Hell, Milano's screaming shit every 5 seconds on commentary, on Japanese commentary, so.
Yeah. But I'm just like, holy shit, like, this is not family friendly at all. Like, wow. Like, okay, when I'm going to watch this match I'm going to watch WrestleKingdom with my 2 little girls, remind me not to play the sound too loud for this match, because they were definitely dropping some bombs.
I'll just tell you real quick, Huck, the tradition here for us is that we listen to the Japanese commentary in all cases. That's just kind of the thing for us. So it's not that I don't appreciate Kelly and Carino. I actually like both of those guys, and we've had Carino on as a guest before, but because it just makes more sense to hear Japanese commentary with Japanese wrestling, that's what we all do.
Yeah, there's so much more passion and so much more excitement, and you can tell how they're just so invested in it.
And I think it might have been Dominion. It was either Dominion or the G1, but there was something this year where I kind of switched tracks. I used to listen to the English commentary, but it was just the lack of knowledge that Carino and Kelly did not have, this lack of knowledge of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then just getting things wrong, and it just took away from my enjoyment. And I'm like, I'd rather just listen to something that I don't understand than listen to something that I know is wrong.
Oh, to each of her own. I don't speak Japanese, so, to me, I'm just like, I don't know, I have no idea what the hell they're saying. Like, whatever. What's
fun for me is every time I watch a show, I pick up another phrase in Japanese. Like during the middle of this show, I figured out that they kept saying, so desu ka? And I was like, why do they keep saying that? So I looked it up, and it means, is that so? You could say, so desu ka? And you're saying, is that so? And the response is,
hi.
So, yeah, hi. Yes, it is. Yes, that's
hi.
So.
But no, the Japanese commentary, to me, it's so much passion, and it just adds to the match. No, I don't know everything they're saying, but I know that they're feeling the match.
So are you guys recommending that from now on I watch it in Japanese commentary?
Well, if you want to hear Shinpei Nogami lose his damn mind, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's worth the price of admission alone.
Yes.
Okay,
was it Shibata and Nagata for the Never title when Nogami just... No, it was Nagata and who? Oh, Naito? Was it Naito that he just went absolutely batshit on?
Yeah.
Nogami on commentary. Was it when Nagata was facing Naito that he just lost it? Or was it the Shibata match when he won the Never title?
I think the one I'm thinking of was Nagata and Shibata. That was when he totally lost his shit.
Yeah, go out on New Japan World and watch that match, and yes, you will understand the love and the passion that Nogami has for Nagata. But as for, for wrestling as a whole.
Justice!
That's one of my favorite reaction pictures to do on Twitter is Nogami standing up screaming justice.
And
it's the third gen shirt on.
And you're never going to get me to argue with that because I have probably almost as much passion for Yuji Nagata as he does.
I don't know. That's a hell of a lot of passion.
I don't know. I mark out every single time I see him. Even if it's in a pre-show Rumble, I still mark out for him.
But yes, anyway. I was calling by the end of the match for, it's like Yano and Ishii were outside napping or something. And it was like, Yano, get your ass in there and low blow somebody and get those belts and get out of here. And he rolls in the ring and there it goes.
Yes, you shall see. Then he runs off with the tag league trophies, which was amazing. Classic Yano.
Yes, the animated gifs of Yano running away with everything were priceless.
Well, he came out there with the DVD, the book, the World Tag League trophies, and the and the tag belts. He had everything, and he left with all of it too. So.
And this time he actually earned the tag titles, which was even better. But he didn't actually steal them; he just actually earned them.
Yeah, he earned them.
Like the finish of that match, I enjoyed that match. Like it was a perfect blend of like Yano and his comedy, hard hitting action with the gorillas. I really, really enjoyed that match. I feel like, that's what tag team wrestling is evolving into, is that style of match.
I think this is one of those matches where you can say there were no losers, only winners, because everybody looked good.
Except Hanma. He looked like a leather couch.
Well, he doesn't look good, but he looked good. There's a difference.
I don't think Hanma has missed a Kokeshi in 2017. This is a scary trend.
I know, it is scary. It's almost as bad as Bone Soldier or Captain New Japan winning a match.
Okay, well, next we move on to Hiromu Takahashi defeating Kushida. The Time Bomb defeats the Time Splitter and takes the junior heavyweight title in the process. Jason, I'll start with you.
It's about time. I'm kind of over Kushida at this point. I'm bored with Kushida. If I can skip ahead a little bit, I'm glad Dragon Lee showed up at the show this morning just to add another junior heavyweight into the mix for the junior heavyweight championship because it gets really stale. But I'd like to see guys like Ricochet, guys like Will Ospreay step up in 2017 and challenge for Kushida. We've seen Kushida, and with the rise in prominence and just the pops that Los Ingobernables de Japón is getting, it was the right time and the right show to put the belt on Takahashi as opposed to like the ROH match, which was the wrong place and the wrong time. This was the right place, the right time, and the right finish.
Well, if I may respond before I go on to somebody else, I actually am not bored with Kushida. I respect your opinion on that, but I did think that in terms of things I've seen from Kushida in the last year, he elevated with Hiromu Takahashi in the ring here. I think he was working at a different level than his previous matches.
Well, he had to because Takahashi's batshit. I mean, God, that power bomb from the apron to the floor, that thud, God.
Oh, yeah.
That hurt me. I was sitting here, it's like, God, is he going to get up from that?
I yelled. I literally thought I was going to wake up my wife, like, oh my God.
I yelped. It was like, oh, fuck.
The sickening thud, you were right. It was loud when he smacked. It was,
Yeah, there were three bad spots on the show for me. One was Trent and his suicide dive to the outside and bouncing off the ramp. The second one was that power bomb to Kushida. And it was like, that thud, it was like, God, you just can't, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard, you just cringe. It's like,
from the apron
that's
to the
just
floor,
bad.
that one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. It was that noise. It's like, ooh.
Well, let's get the thoughts of the actual pro wrestler of this panel tonight. Huck, what did you think when that spot happened?
Oh, see, at first I didn't think it was going to happen because he held on for a second. And it was, I think it was one of those spots where, the guy does a sunset switch to the floor, go for the power bomb, no, the guy kicks off, another crazy spot, a side moonsault, whatever the case may be. So when the power bomb actually happened, I was like, oh, that was different. Like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe it actually worked. I have to agree that I was getting kind of tired of seeing Kushida as the champion. I never really believed in him to a point as the champion when he beat Kenny Omega, and we realized Kenny Omega was actually going to start vying for the head, was going to actually turn to a heavyweight instead of a junior. I felt like at that time Kushida was probably the best option. Well, not even the best, the safest option they had at the time. Until this match. I actually posted on social media that I liked Kushida. There was a certain moment in the match, and I can't exactly remember when Kushida actually became like really super aggressive, and he actually dialed it up a notch, and it was like, oh shit, like this is a part of Kushida I've never actually seen before, where he's like really like he's tired of what's going on. You know, he's kind of hit that whole Popeye, I've had enough, this is all I can stand or whatever situation.
All I can stand, I can't stand no more. I did want to touch on a point that you mentioned, Huck, and one that you mentioned, Steve, and they tie together. You said, you know, of him lifting his game in this match and him elevating in this match. And to me, there's no match that Kushida elevated his game more so than in 2015 Best of the Super Juniors against Kyle O'Reilly. To me, that's kind of the epitome of Kushida, and it kind of went downhill from there.
Well, I'm not going to say he went downhill from there because I remember that match. I enjoyed that match. I think that he became very stagnant. And I think during his championship reign, you know, it's kind of like watching the John Cena match. You know, this is going to happen A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
We're going to get that cartwheel into a drop kick. Oh, yeah, we've seen that 1,000 times.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember exactly when it happened in the match, but there was a point in the match where I want to say it was a strike, like a slap or something, and you seen Kushida just like become super hyper aggressive. And I was like, man, I really like this version of Kushida where he all of a sudden, you know, he's not, you know, happy-go-lucky Kushida, you know, he's just a really great, solid junior heavyweight wrestler. Like, he actually is showing passion now. He's actually fighting. Once it got to that part of the match, then I really started enjoying it. But I like Takahashi as a champion. Like, holy shit, like, you know, I love the fact that he's no longer, what's his other name? Tamagotchi, whatever.
Kamitachi.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, oh god. First of all, I don't even like that name, but I like who he is now, the ticking time bomb. Like, he's like, you know, I feel like as time progresses, he's gonna be, you know, the Japanese version of Brian Pillman, where you don't know what to expect with this guy. I can't wait to see what New Japan does with him during his championship reign. I hope he has a very long championship reign because the guy is young, he's fresh, you know, he has a lot of great, you know, he has a lot of great moves and spots, and I want to say ideas. I don't know if Japan has agents and stuff that tells you what to do. But I think that he is ushering in the new era of junior heavyweights and stuff, especially in Japan. My wife was watching it with me. I watched it again today. I watched the entire pay-per-view again today because I enjoyed it that much. And my wife actually caught a part of that match. And the first thing she noticed was his fur coat. And she's like, is that a fur coat? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, is that paint or like a fur coat? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, why would he do that? And I was like, because he's crazy as fuck. And she was like, oh. And then the match started going. And she was like, yeah, he's the kind of guy that will ruin a $10,000 fur coat. Yeah, he's that guy.
Mm-hmm. And that's,
so yeah, I really.
Oh, sorry, Huck. I was just going to say, and that's why he's such a perfect fit in El Los Ingobernables, is he's ingovernable. You can't tell him what to do. He's going to do what he wants.
Exactly. So I would like to see, you know, how Kushida bounces back from this. Is he going to stay hyper aggressive and start actually fighting? Or is he just going to, you know, fade into the obscurity and stuff and let, you know, the new wave of junior heavyweights take over?
I feel like there's still Kushida in the mix from now for the immediate future. I don't see him just fading away. I think he might be on a downside for a little bit, but I think he could come back by the summer or fall and interject himself into the mix for this title or a different one. I think it's his time to lose now, but I don't think that means he's going away.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to go away. I'm just saying that I want to see, is he going to reinvent himself? You know, is he going to go back to how he used to wrestle? Or is he going to stay, you know, a fighter where he only takes so much disrespect or whatever you want to call it in the ring for so long before he becomes aggressive? And before he becomes the super aggressor. From this point on, like I said, they have so much great talent, especially in the junior heavyweight division in New Japan now. They got Will Ospreay, I seen something on Twitter where they were saying that Ricochet was the actual king of the cruiserweights. What's his name? You still got Kyle O'Reilly can be it's technically a junior heavyweight.